Mr. President, I move that the board approve the October 14th, 2024 agenda.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Motion passes. Next, we'll have a report of board members. Dr. Douglas.
Good evening, everybody. On October the 3rd, I was able to participate in the Board of Education Envisioning Day, and I truly enjoyed the interaction from the young people. I don't know if some of you young people were there, but it was good. And if you were there, y'all were good. Okay. And on October the 3rd, I had the opportunity to be the keynote speaker on the importance of taking care of your own mental health at Connection Point, sponsored by Women on a Mission. And on October the 11th, I had the opportunity to attend the Hall of Fame luncheon, honoring some of the worthy Raytown alumni from the Raytown School District. Those are the things I've done.
Thank you, Dr. Douglas. And next we have Ms. Johnson-Berry.
Yeah, so I've had the pleasure of attending some of our football games where we won, so that's always good. I always enjoy, just as a regular course of what I do, just kind of having those informal interactions and checking in on students and staff, just kind of hearing developments about the year. Anything that we can do to support people as board members as well. And this weekend I'll be going to the MSBA conference, so to kind of catch up on some learning there. And then because I think it's important as the chair of the Curriculum Professional Development Committee, I keep up on my professional development. So I'm always pushing myself to sign up for courses. So one I've signed up for is through Harvard always has great ones through their Graduate School of Education and Extended Learning. And there's one on Everyday Innovation for Early Learning. I think that's the area that I can improve of since I'm secondary.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Johnson-Berry. That concludes our reports of the board members. Next, we have Ray of Hope.
Good evening, President Burton, Board of Education, Dr. Martin Knox. This evening, we are recognizing Anderson Howard, a senior at Raytown High School, who is named a National Merit Scholar semifinalist, which recognizes and honors students across the country. This is a prestigious honor with the nationwide pool of semifinalists representing less than 1% of U.S. high school seniors. We have a little video with a little bit more about Anderson.
I started with Anderson as his counselor. When you talk about a ray of hope, he is just a standout student.
We learned early on he was smart. He was reading early and stuff like that. But then when he first got into school and he took the first standardized test, he got in the 99th percentile and everything. And when he was in elementary, he was at a high school reading level.
You take one little test, like the PSAT, and then if you score in like the top percent of your state, you become a national merit semifinalist, and then 90% of the semifinalists becomes finalists. Basically, if you like show it wasn't a fluke, you can become a finalist. Like, it wasn't a big surprise, but the big like first real happy reaction was when we got the score back from the PSAT, and then like we saw based on like historical things, that's gonna be it for Missouri. I was honored, like I was happy to know. I was excited, I was happy to be acknowledged for my accomplishments.
He is on the cross-country team. He is very friendly. Students know him. He's on time. He's on top of his academics. He's also very helpful.
Just to see how he is with other people and how he treats other people, for him to recognize what he's been blessed with and just to appreciate that and not take it for granted, that's what I'm most proud of.
We've gone to Raytown his entire school career, so all 3 schools that he attended have been so supportive of him. He's had administrators and teachers that have recognized his uniqueness and abilities and have fostered those.
Whatever he puts his mind to, I know he's going to excel. Sky's the limit for Anderson.
We are really proud of him, and we know he's going to do great things, and we're so grateful for Raytown and the community that we have here.
I like just the general attitude, like perspective. I feel like Raytown has like perspective on what really matters in life. I feel like it's a lot of prevailing attitude that Raytown is somehow less than other schools. It's not just Lee Summit, Staley that get awards like this. I would just say, first of all, don't stress. Like if you can see other people doing it, like everyone's different. If you really want to, you can do it. It's gonna be on you.
Congratulations again, Anderson. This month, October, is a National Principals Month, and we have some amazing principals here in the Raytown School District, and we wanted to take a moment this evening to recognize them for their dedication, passion, and commitment, which shape the educational experiences of our students and foster positive school cultures. So I know many of our principals were able to join us this evening. So if you are here, when you hear your name called, please come to the front. Krista Phillips. Anika Williams, principal at Eastwood Hills Elementary. Dr. Becky Bien Stevenson, principal, Laurel Hills Elementary. Dr. Julie Schmidley, principal, Little Blue Elementary. Melissa Glasgow, principal of Fleet Ridge Elementary. Lori Kang, principal, Norfleet Elementary. Jamie Washington, principal of Robinson Elementary. Claire Quinn, principal, Southwood Elementary. Melissa Gabbard, principal, Spring Valley Elementary. Clarica Tully, principal, Westridge Elementary. Jackie Garman, principal of Raytown Central Middle School. Kimberly Alonso, principal of Raytown Middle School. Lori Boyd, principal of Raytown South Middle School. Dr. Andrew McCarthy, principal of Raytown High School. Shunton Hammond, principal of Raytown South High School. Denise Barnes, principal of Northwood School. Leslie Cole, principal of Raytown Success Academy. Christy Used, principal of New Trails Preschool. Ann Hudgens, principal of Three Trails Preschool. And Dr. Cheryl Reichert, director of Herndon Career Center.
You want 2 rows?
Why is he pointing?
So before you sit down, I know I usually tell you privately, but I need to publicly tell you, and even those who are not here. Many of us don't know the weight that our shoulders carry as leaders, particularly as a principal. And for all you do each and every day, and I've told them before, and I will say it again publicly, I have never met a group of leaders who don't complain. You get it done. And if you don't get it done, you'll find a way to get it done. And so for who you are, your innovativeness, your creativity, but more importantly, for your love and passion for children, I just want to say, not just for October do I thank you, but I thank you all. So congratulations.
And for our final recognition, we have some invaluable partners at Giving the Basics who help provide necessities for our students. So I want to invite the representative from Giving the Basics to come forward.
Hello, my name is Joni Sheely and I am with Giving the Basics. I just came here to thank you all for first of all allowing me to speak, but also for being partners with us for 10 years. We have been able to supply hygiene items to your students, and last year we were able to provide 39,000 products, equaling to over $22,000. So every year we do a compliance, which is kind of like we try to see how your school is doing. So we want to get some input from different people. So this is the input from Dr. Martin Knox. And this is what she said about Giving the Basics. Giving the Basics allows us to have a steady supply of basic necessities like shampoo, toothpaste, laundry, detergent available for our students and families to access when they need them. The program provides a necessary tool to support student attendance, physical, social, and emotional well-being, the academic success, sorry, terrible at reading. Able to focus on academics, our students can achieve without limitations. So we want to thank you for that comment because we use those in our grants to get free hygiene products. And also, we also use this comment. It's from Angel Crosby, an RN nurse from Eastwood Hills. And she says, Giving the Basics has been an absolute blessing for so many families. I have parents and students that are in need due to homelessness. Being able to provide these necessities to them makes me feel like I am doing good for the community. And we also wanted to thank Morgan Hoff, who was running the program for years. She's no longer doing that. So we have some wonderful people that have taken her place, Melissa Tanner and Madison Haltorf. I don't know if I said that right, for continuing with this free program. This is a free program for your students. And so we also just came here to thank you guys for helping us shower our community together. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And one last thing, your staff of social workers and RNs are coming to Giving the Basics to help volunteer. So we want to thank you for that too. So that'll be next month. Thank you so much.
All right. All right, next we'll have the report of superintendent.
So good evening, Chairman Burton, Vice Chairman Newton, members of the Raytown Quality School District Board, and members of our amazing community. The month of October is one that is very busy in terms of celebrations. We've already celebrated and recognized our principals this evening. But during this month, there's also custodian, in which I like to call them building service staff. There was an appreciation day for our custodians. And I just want to reiterate the appreciation that we have for those individuals who make sure that our facilities are maintained. And not only do they maintain our facilities, but they also build relationships with our children and serve as sometimes that voice of reason for many of them. So I want to publicly thank our custodians and our building service workers for the work that they do. We've also had, October is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we have several of our staff and students and community members who need our support during this time and throughout the year. We have one of our very own, Miss Tina, who's also one of our bus drivers, who is continuing to fight the fight, fighting the good fight. And I want to publicly tell her, I thank you for coming to work each and every day with a smile. And on Wednesdays, remember, we wear pink. So Tina, we're doing that in support of you, not just because it's the superintendent's favorite color. Okay. This week has been very busy. Last Friday, we were able to celebrate and recognize the 2024 Raytown Alumni Hall of Fame inductees. It was a great event all day where our honorees were able to go to our schools. And I just need to say to our students and to those who hosted our honorees, thank you. You've represented Raytown in a way in which many of them said they didn't even remember students being as intelligent and as articulate as you all were. Their words, not mine. And so I just want to say thank you for being present, being available, and being the very best that I know you can be and that you are on a day-to-day basis. We've also had visitors who've come to the district. We had an organization from IEI come and toured Raytown with me. The first thing they asked is, can we see the things that are happening in Raytown that are positive? Can we go to your best schools? Well, I said, do you have some days? Because in order to find the best things that's happening, there's a lot of things that are happening in Raytown. And so to be able to capitalize on everything, it was impossible that day. But I did give them a tour of our school district with the support from our assistant superintendents and our chief of communications. And again, there's been an article that has been written and a blog that has been written about the amazing work that's happening here in Raytown Quality Schools. So once again, I just want to reiterate and thank you. And on top of that, we also had a visit from the Real World Learning organization and practices so that they were able to go to Herndon Career Center just to see the work that they were doing. It was a part of a conference that took place here in Missouri, and Raytown was chosen for them to visit Herndon Career Center. And it was an amazing visit. So I just want to thank the students and Dr. Reichert for their hard work and efforts. At this time, I want to call your attention to item 9.5 and 9.6 for Mr. Husted to come forward to share some information with you all.
Good evening, Dr. Martin Knox, Mr. Burton, members of the board. Tonight, I'm just going to go through and give you a brief update on the Raytown South High School Performing Arts Center, as well as the start of the auxiliary gym. Can we pull that up, Kevin? You'll see in the pictures that we'll go through, we're starting to polish floors. Lights are up. So we're starting polishing floors, lights are up, painting's been completed. We're starting to drop ceiling tile in the classrooms. The perimeter, there's casework being installed, which is the cabinetry and all of those components. We are looking for the third week of December as a completion date. I'm confident we're going to hit that date. You can see that lower right You can see the pre-function space. That's right when you walk in. You can see the acoustic panels, the drywall's done, the lights are up. The actual area of the Performing Arts Center is the part where the majority of the work is being completed. Those are extremely high ceilings, all the rigging's up, the fly loft's up, the drywall clouds are up. We've dropped the scaffolding down one level. We're going to finish that up in the next week or two, and then we'll begin painting in there. Adjacent to that, directly to the west, we started pouring the foundations and footings for the new auxiliary gym. Those are all complete. We've started the CMU block walls, which will build the different components, the storage room, the bathroom, and the hallway that will go between the pre-function space and the gym. We expect that to be done mid-July. Are there any questions about this part of it? All right. I'm going to turn over to Miss Sandy Cochran with Hollis & Miller. In August, I came to you guys with permission to bid facade updates at our secondary buildings. We have some renderings and locations that I'm going to have Miss Cochran share with you, and then we'll both be available to answer any questions. Ms. Cochran.
Good evening, everyone. It's wonderful to see you. So as Mr. Husted mentioned, we have some facade updates at the secondary buildings that we are looking to complete this year. So I wanted to walk you through what that scope is. We'll start with Raytown High School. So there are 3 entry points that we're going to impact with this project. The main entry point that faces the east, main visitor and student entry. The entry point to the south that faces the new auxiliary gym across the street, and then the previous entry point on the west that used to be the main entrance into the high school that's now a secondary entry. So for the main entry, this is a very unique canopy that's currently located at that main entry. We've got those cantilevers that happen with brick columns. So in order to enhance this without demolishing what's already there, we wanted to bring in some new signage and then add interest in some modern components to the front of the building. So what you're seeing here is metal paneling surrounding the exterior of those new canopies that are stretching out and covering the current concrete stoop. There's metal paneling on the bottom that's colored blue, as well as new lighting. And then signage on the south and the north side to help direct entry into that for visitors. So what we were looking at is the first time I went to Raytown High School years ago, I went to the west side because there's the circle drive that looks like the front door. So when you come around the other side, it still is a little confusing on where the front door is. So that was the approach we took here, was make it very evident where you are supposed to enter the building. So the other component that you can see here is an addition of a Blue Jay head on a flat part of the wall on the second story. So there used to be windows that have been infilled years ago. And so we're suggesting that we put a new Blue Jay head there again to add on some school pride and show a mascot at the front entry. Then on the south side that faces the new auxiliary gym, we wanted to have some parity between the new entry point on that gym and the existing building. And so currently there's a barrel vault that is 2 stories tall over that entry point. There's also one around the corner, but we had an opportunity here to enhance this one. There's no interior space that's associated with this entry. So we're doing a cantilevered metal panel again, canopy out with dark gray and blue accents. With it being fully lit, so it'll help with some security on both of those entry points. And then on the west side, again, this is not the primary entry. So we wanted to have an opportunity to create parity between all entry points, but not overstate it, again, to cause confusion. So there's 2 things that are happening here. One, adding a new, more permanent structure that isn't canvas, taking the signage down on that side, and then adding a new standalone sign that will be, it's on the orange block that you can see on the circle drive, which is essentially in that northeast corner. So as people pull in, it will say, "Thank you, welcome to Raytown High School. The main entry is on the other side," basically is what that's going to say, but it's more permanent. Currently, there's a T sign that sits out there right now that the administration moves all the time. This will alleviate them having to do that consistently. So that's Raytown High School. The next, again, with this opportunity, we're updating the secondary buildings. So Raytown Middle School has 2 entry points. The main one faces the south. The secondary that has the drive loop faces the east. And so looking for opportunities here, this was a very unique facade when this was created. It was not the original main entry into the building. So there's a two-story structure there now. We wanted to leave that in place but enhance it. So what we're suggesting is that the current signage that is at the top part of that concrete structure be removed. We'll again bring in a horizontal metal panel structure with new lit signage. What I didn't point out on Raytown High School is that the lettering will all be internally lit, and then there's lighting underneath that will again light those stairs. At both Raytown High and Raytown Middle, we are removing the existing concrete stairs and rebuilding them here at Raytown Middle. At Raytown High, we're not removing all of them, but we are removing the ones that are deteriorating and falling apart. And then the entry point that faces to the east, similar type of concept here. Removing the canopy that's there and then creating a new standalone. Again, that is lit, allows coverage for students as they're waiting to be picked up or if they're being dropped off. Again, lit from the front and from underneath. For South High School, currently there's rather large canopies out in front of South High School, not only to the south, but to the west for the main entry. So this one was a slightly different approach, but again, with the new additions that are happening on the north side of the building, we wanted to be able to create some parity between all of these projects. So this outline here, we're very similarly mimicking the original layouts of those canopies, but we're changing the format just a little. So for the main entry that is visible as you first pull up to that circle drive, slightly different approach here. Again, dark gray metal paneling, internally lit signage that faces that entry point, but then enhancing the underside with some red paneling to bring in some of that school pride. There's also an ad alternate right now to paint the exterior of the facade behind this. So it's currently striped white and red. It's an EIFS material. It's similar to stucco. What we're planning on is to include an ad alternate to paint that, to again modernize that facade, to enhance this addition on the front side. Also included in this is the concrete walkway that's under the current canopy will be pulled out, and we're going to replace that with new and then expand it so there's a wider walking path for students and visitors as they come to the building. The south entry point, very similar. It doesn't have the sloped roof pattern as the main entry, but again, it's got the horizontal pattern with dark gray and the red accenting both lit from the front and from underneath. So added security lit component there. And then for South Middle School, again, we have two entry points here, the main facing the south and then the secondary facing the west. So expanding the footprint here again, the current canopies weren't very big. Also on the west side, the students would like to be able to sit outside as an added element of, you're doing well, you get to sit outside and eat lunch. And so we've expanded that footprint to be able to support that incentive. So from the front, this is the layout that we're proposing at this time. So there's 3 different levels. Again, that cantilever type of look, lit from the front and the bottom. It's also creating further coverage for students to queue up, to be picked up or dropped off. And then on the west side, similar layout, but again, expanding that overall footprint to allow students to sit and gather as they're being, and that is the entry point that's towards the cafeteria and gym. Any questions?
Yes, nice.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So I want to say publicly, thank you to Mr. Husted and Ms. Cochran and all who have participated in the development of facade planning. I will say that from my seating position here in the room, I think that we've received an A from our students because the look of excitement and smiles that came over their faces as they were looking at these renderings just lets us know that the work that we're doing is truly about them and they know it as well. So thank you for the work that you do. And remember, it's all for you all. The next item under the superintendent's report is superintendent's goals. One of the things about the goals, a lot of the work already takes place as we're moving into or already in the midst of the 24-25 school year. And so I just want to share with you some information and data as it pertains to who we are, and where we plan to be. So our priorities for the upcoming school year, if you remember last year, we began to work around repurposing our goals for the district and for our board. I believe that it is necessary that there is a streamlined effort between what the board is expecting and what the district is also expecting in terms of meeting the needs of our children. So we established what we call the theory of action, which is also aligned to the vision and mission of our school district. And the bottom line is that we are always providing equitable outcomes for all of our students that are rigorous. That's also inspiring them to continue to be continuous in their learning. And so when we look at our theory of action and our vision and mission, this is publicized on our in every area of the district that you look, so that everyone understands what our intended purpose is. This is not only just for the board and for the district, but it's also for our community as we are working in tandem to make sure that the work goes and continues for the betterment of our children. I apologize for going backwards. We talked about the board and the district goals, but I will again clearly reiterate, primarily, our goal is always student achievement first, in preparation for students to be able to function in life beyond school and for their college and/or career preparedness. We are going to continue as a board and as a district to attract and retain highly qualified individuals to be able to help us in accomplishing these goals, while we continue to strengthen our community relations and communications. And in doing so, we will also maintain fiscal and operational integrity and accountability. And then the final aspect or pillar, if you will, within the board and district goals is board governance. With this work, we also did work in collaboration with our staff and with our community to develop our strategic plan. So the board and the district goals are just that. They are the goals of what we are expecting of our district as we move from good to great. Our strategic plan is aligned to our board and district goals, as we will always be focused on learning, teaching, leadership, professional learning in the wider community. We know for a fact that it takes all of us to ensure that our children receive quality instruction in order for us to meet the goals of graduating our children who are prepared to enter into society. The first, as you can see, again, this information is presented throughout our district. It's also posted on the walls of all of our schools. Again, as I stated a few moments ago, it's about student achievement and college and career readiness. And so making sure that our students are partners in this work in creating their goals and their plans as they matriculate through our school district. Most importantly, that we're fostering a culture of creativity, equity, excellence, and innovation with all of our educators, which all lends itself back to students being college and/or career ready. These are also components that we are evaluated on for DESE, or the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education here in Missouri. From the work of our board goals, our district goals, and our strategic plan, we've also created what we call the profile of a learner. Instead of calling it a profile of a graduate, it's most important that we understand that the growth of our students and of our district is a necessity for everyone to be involved and engaged, as we are preparing our children to be academically sound, to be reflective in their practices, able to relate, contributors to their own growth and development, and to be professional. Each one of these indicators, as you see in our profile of a learner, have defined outcomes and efforts under each category. Each one of our students should have this with them just to serve as a reminder as you're going through the work. And our principals and teachers will continue to lead and educate based on the outcomes that are expected for our students, our staff, and for our community. I wanted to also share with you some data in terms of our enrollment. I usually look at data, and staff look at data, usually on a 5-year trend. The data for 2024 is only a snapshot of where we are today. The last time we looked at enrollment reports, our enrollment is at 7,997 students. As you can see, effective in 2019, there has been a decrease, and that decrease happened began prior to 2019, but it has continuously gone down, and now we're on an incline as we're heading into 2024. This is not reflective of just Raytown, but when you look at Missouri's enrollment data, that data is on a decline as well as student enrollment in public education across our nation. The next thing that we need to look at when we're understanding who we are as a district is our free and reduced rates. If you look at the bar graph, the red line represents Raytown. The grayish colored line or dark line is Missouri. And I wanted to put that there so you can see where the trends have taken place in the state of Missouri. Again, most of this data is as related to our economics in our nation and within our state and in our community. And it's, as you can see, the number has been constant. Around 60% of our students identified below the poverty level or receiving free and reduced meals while in school. I think it's necessary for us to look at this data, not to use it to say what children can't do, but to use this data to identify that we have to differentiate our approach because the lived experiences of all of our children are vastly different. This also has an impact on our attendance rates. Again, I began with 2019 because at that time, that's when all of our schools and across the nation were plagued by the pandemic. As you can see, the attendance rates have been in an incline and a decline over the years. And it is believed that when children aren't in school, they're not learning, regardless as to the reasons why they're out of school. So it's most important that we are focusing in on attendance. When we look at attendance, we have been focusing on 90-90, which is aligned with Doug Reeves' work, where you have 90-90-90. 90% of the students can be 90% academically achieving, and 90% of your student population are classified as free and reduced or live in poverty. And so as we look at Raytown's data, we are currently at 65.5% in terms of our attendance rate. It is most important that we have a continuous push and effort to ensure that our children come to school each and every day, ready and eager and available for learning. I want to also take a moment, as we just talked about suspensions. There's a misnomer out there that students aren't being suspended or students aren't being disciplined, but I needed to provide this information to counter that narrative. When we look at the curves or the adjustments, the darker line is what we call in-school suspension, or as noted on this graph, ISS, and the red line is out-of-school suspensions. In 2019, that's around the time when the pandemic struck us, around February of that year. That data in 2019 only reflects student suspensions from August to February. Here we are in 2023, where the numbers still resemble or mirror where we were then. There is a decline in 2020 because students were virtual for the most part. But as you can see, there were still suspensions that were occurring because there were some misbehaviors in a virtual capacity or when students return in that next year. So when we talk about looking at the way in which we're correcting behaviors, we have to go back and look at the data to determine whether the suspension is correcting the behavior or whether suspensions are giving us another outlet to remove children from school. And is it correcting the behavior? So I needed us to take a moment to look at the suspension data in the report, to process it and digest it. And let me just be clear. This does not mean I'm saying do not give students suspension. What I am saying is let's be mindful of the work that we're doing around maintaining and correcting student behaviors, because it is a belief and based on research that when students aren't in school, they're engaging in other activities outside of school that lead to criminalistic behaviors. And not in every case, but in many cases. So let's make sure we're mindful of this data, which is a part of our work moving forward. I want to take a moment and look at our dropout rates. And again, starting with 2019, when we're looking at that red bar graph for Raytown, 9.1 is too many children feeling as though they don't belong here in school, because that's what a contributing factor to the dropout looks like. When we're talking about students not coming to school, students being suspended, students not feeling like they belong here in our school system, this is what it leads to. If you look at Missouri's data, which is in the gray line, the state is at 1.8%. We, as Raytown, are at 9.1% of our students dropping out of school. And I believe, and have actually seen research to support my belief, students mentally begin to drop out of school in 3rd grade. They physically drop out in high school, 9th and 10th grade. So if we are not engaging our children at the youngest age, and the 3rd grade indicator is also reflective of students being able to read on grade level by 3rd grade. If students are not reading on grade level by 3rd grade, if students aren't attending school regularly, and if students are not achieving, those are 3 major indicators of students who will drop out of school. And so the work that we're doing here in the district, we have put committees together to ensure, and with the work of our assistant superintendents and within curriculum, to assure that when students don't come to school, we're not just letting them stay home. We're following up to find out why they aren't coming to school, and sometimes finding an alternative way for them to be educated. When we look at our graduation rates, you can see again, Raytown, we have continuously decreased in our graduation rates. And remember, this data is lagging data. So when we talk about the data, it's usually a year behind. So right now, our graduation rate is at 76.6, but we continue to push our students to graduate. This is the 4-year graduation rate, where we're at 76% of our students graduating. And I'm just going to bluntly say it, this is not good enough. When we look at our 5-year data, we increased those numbers to about 86.48%, which means we are pushing students forward and giving them the support that they need, not pushing them out, but pushing them forward to give them the support that they need. And as you can see, if they're not completing it by the 4-year graduation cohort, they are completing it by the 5th-year cohort. When you look at the summer time is when most of our students are completing their requirements. And if anyone has recognized, we do a summer graduation, which has impacted this number, which is taking it from the 76% to the 86%. I just believe that students may not finish at the time when we expect them to, but they're going to finish. And so we will continue to push. So what does this lead to? This leads to us looking at indicators that will determine if our work and our way forward is benefiting our children. The enrollment data, while we don't have control of it, we do have control. We can continue to market our school district. As you heard earlier, Raytown is the place to be. And so we have to continue to push that narrative, because if we don't, no one else will. And we have amazing staff. We have amazing students. We have an amazing community, and we will continue to make sure those students who have departed and have attended private school, homeschooling, charter schools, whatever the choices are that our parents have made, we need to understand that being here in Raytown is where we belong. The free and reduced rates, while we can adjust that, what we have done is taken an effort to ensure that parents are completing the farm's applications. There has been an intentional push to make sure that students who are coming to school, if they are living in those situations that classify them as free and reduced, that they have the meals that they need to feed their brains so that they are successful. Our graduation target this year, and I'll say it again, is 80%. While it's not where we need it to be, it takes 5 years to turn around any performance. 80%, if we increase our graduation rates at least by 5% every year, we will meet that 100% target. So I am pushing, as well as Ms. Bassett and Dr. Greiner and all others with our principals, to make sure we're targeting our children, to make sure that 1, they're coming to school, 2, they're coming to school in an environment where they feel they belong, and 3, where they're receiving rigorous academic instruction, just like with our goals and our vision and our mission. The next piece that we're going to target is the dropout rate. I would like to target that and decrease the dropout rate by about 5%. We will continue to use that 5% as our target, and every year we will reduce the number of children who are dropping out of school. Student attendance, we're going to push to make sure our students are coming to school. I'm going to give a minimum of 75% of the time. I prefer to see 100%, but I'm going to be realistic with 75%. We will continue to push. So understand, we have a team who is focused on looking at student attendance. We have individuals who will come knocking at the door to find out why you're not in school and what supports we can do as a school district. I do not believe we need to punish our parents and our students for not coming to school in accordance to law. We need to find out why they're not coming to school and to provide them the necessary supports so we can get them there. And then as educators, we can keep them there. And the next, I did not put a percentage on suspension reduction because I don't want somebody to say Dr. Martin Knox does not want us to suspend kids, but we are going to reduce that suspension component. Not overlooking behaviors, but making sure that when we are suspending children, that it is going to correct the behavior. The entry plan, when they return, is giving them the supports that they need so that they do not re-engage in that same behavior, and they too are not impacting that suspension rate, which also impacts the attendance rate, which also impacts the dropout rate, which also drops our academics. So if you notice what we've talked about, most of the students, if I take the data and disaggregate it, they're the same students. There are students who are free and reduced. There are students who are special education. There are our students, and I can continue to go on. And those are the students that we're talking about. So it goes back to knowing our children. The work that's taking place with curriculum instruction and assessment, there's a lot of work going on with curriculum instruction and assessment. And first, it began with us looking at our practices, making sure we're delivering quality first, core first instruction. When we're looking at our tiered approach to delivering instruction and adjusting our practice and assessing our students to see where they are, this is where this work takes place. When a student comes to school, he or she must make sure that their needs are being met. And so one of the things that has happened is we have continued to engage in our learning walks. Dr. Greiner and the assistant superintendents with the principals conduct card visits, where we're looking at the data and not just talking about the number, because behind the number is a child, but talking about children as a whole and what support do we need to make sure we elevate the practices that are given to our children to ensure that they are grasping the educational concepts. The other component to this is a safe and orderly and caring environment. It goes back to the work that we've done in terms of our equity work to make sure not only of our staff, but our children are in an environment where they feel supported and that they are eager to engage, but also making sure we have the safety components that are in place to guarantee that our students can come to school in a safe and orderly environment. One of the things that we've done is we have revitalized or revised our safety committee. The work now falls under Mr. Husted with Mr. Aaron Quinley as they're leading the work and working in collaboration with local law enforcement and with our security team. We outsource our security team. Oftentimes individuals will call them school resource officers or SROs. They're security. There's a difference in the two, but the work that they do are very similar. If you've noticed, we just did a video about safety. We will continue to communicate the impact when students are not acting in accordance to our school's code of conduct. And for those of you who followed our policies and have looked at the work, we have revised what we called the discipline plan, but now label it as a student code of conduct, making sure our teachers understand they're empowered to address behaviors, our administrators are empowered to address behaviors, but at the end of the day, it's to make sure that students are able to come to school in an environment where they're willing and able to learn. The next is our HR goal, where our focus is always to attract, recruit, and retain high quality staff. You'll hear Dr. Calcaris say that recruitment is the new retention. So while we're recruiting individuals, we need to make sure they're the right individuals for the work. Around the nation, you'll hear state departments and boards of education look at the way in which we are hiring, but also looking at the requirements that are asked of our educators to make sure that one, they can come into the classroom and teach, but they are viable candidates. And so when we look at the work that is happening to attract, retain, and recruit, one of the things that Dr. Calcara and his team has actually engaged in is not just doing an exit interview, but to look at the data from those who are remaining to find out why they are remaining. So we have conducted that through personal visits with HR, and we've also administered surveys to collect data so that we can continue to review and revise our practices as it pertains to recruiting and retaining our staff. This goal is to strengthen community relations and communications, and this is led by our communications department as we continue to maintain open and ongoing, clear and transparent communications with our community. Much of what you see here is aligned to the DESE standards, and I apologize. I need to take a sip. One of y'all want to continue this for me?
You got it.
I got it, thanks. And it's truly about the flow of information, how information is presented and disseminated, not just to our community, but to our students and our staff as well. And so I just want to publicly thank Ms. Cleaver Womble and her team for their partnership with all the departments within Raytown Quality Schools to streamline the information and to ensure, no, I'm good. A dust got in my throat. That's my story and I'm sticking with it. Thank you though. And so when we look at the superintendent's goal, it really is about maintaining open and ongoing communication with our community to keep everyone aware of what's transpiring in our school district. The next one is maintaining fiscal and operation integrity and accountability. It's huge. There are two words within this goal: integrity and accountability. The rest of it falls in line. And what does this mean? This means how we are maintaining our priorities by moving the work forward. As you saw from the presentation here earlier, all the monies that we look at, we will, under the fiscal column, we will make sure that the board is being made aware of our fiscal status by providing you with updates, but also engaging our community in terms of our budget planning. It is an ongoing cycle, and with the work of Ms. Jackie Vernon, who has taken the helm of this work, we are continuing to move forward with that fiscal aspect. Because not only does the fiscal aspect allow us to continue to operate effectively, but it allows us to go back to that human resources goal of ensuring that we attract and retain. And so when we look at the bottom bullet, when we're talking about assess fiscal needs relevant to student achievement, facilities, salaries, and staffing, we know that we've done some good work, but we can continue to stay focused and do better. With the operational aspect, it's to ensure that we are maximizing our facilities, utilizing them so that they are conducive to learning for our children, and continue to review our enrollment to make sure that we are doing just what we say we're going to do in our strategic plan, in our board and district goals. And the final goal, while I did not address board governance, because that would be a board function, I have a superintendent governance goal that I have put in for myself. And that is to make sure that I maintain regular and ongoing communication with our Board of Education to keep you well informed, but to also keep myself engaged through professional learning opportunities that present themselves at the local and national level, just to make sure that I am staying informed. Learning never stops, and I will never sit in this chair and say I know it all. I will continue to grow and continue to collaborate with superintendents from neighboring districts and across the nation, just to keep my thumb on the pulse to ensure that we're doing our very best for Raytown. Not to compete with anyone, but just to, well, I'm not going to say that part because I just talked about integrity, because I'm always competing. But so that I can get that information and do what's best for Raytown Quality Schools, right? And I saw some snaps up. Don't encourage me because I'll go there. And so for myself, just always maintaining a high level of professionalism and a high level of standards to ensure that I am representing the community of Raytown, the staff of Raytown, and more importantly, the children of Raytown. And so as we close with the goals of our district, our hashtag this year is RQS Forward. It's not just about saying it, it's about living it, it's about doing it. And our role and responsibility, particularly with me as the leader, is providing students with the keys today for a successful tomorrow. It is my goal, it is my promise, it is my commitment to the children and to the community, because as I say all the time, hashtag all for kids. That concludes the presentation of the superintendent and the report of the superintendent this evening. No, it's not. I just talked about children. I just talked about them and praised them. 9.8 student representatives are going to provide their report.
Good evening, Board of Education and Dr. Martin Knox. I'm Madison Dansby, and I'm a student council executive from Raytown South High School. And this past month, we had our homecoming season at the end of September. And what I'm going to talk about is the homecoming assembly. So our assembly, from like student feedback and stuff, they said it was really entertaining and engaging. We had a lot of our activities display like their talents and things. We had our dance team, which is the Cardettes, our cheer team and our step team perform. And everyone loved it because it was fun to watch. And also for activities, it was fun for them to participate in and show off all their hard work from what they've been working on, even like some sports since the summer. Our royalty was also announced at the homecoming assembly for underclass and juniors, and we had a really good court. And then our king and queen were announced at the game, and it was very emotional because our queen, she did very well. And also it was nice to see students getting praise. That is all for the homecoming assembly. Now I'm going to pass it to Anaya.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Anaya Gilmore from Raytown South. So I'm going to be talking about our homecoming dance. So we had a really good dance. We had a good setup and a pretty easy takedown. We received great feedback from our students. We had to change from outside to inside to the gym. And even after the change, people really still liked the dance and appreciated our hard work. I would like to shout out Madison Dansby for allowing our admin to change for the ladies to wear heels because we were against it at first, but they let us wear heels. Everybody was very happy and very proud of her. I'm proud of her. And it was very well, like it was a good homecoming dance. There weren't any conflicts. Everybody said they enjoyed it. Like we received a lot of good feedback for the first time. Like I got a good feel of our student body saying they liked something that was going on. And it was just overall really well. We had good music, they had food, and yeah, thank you guys.
Wow. Okay.
Now
Yeah.
that's it for the superintendent.
Well, first I want to thank you guys. You did a great presentation and really appreciate you coming. And we love to hear from you because, you know, we do a lot of talking around students, but seeing you encourage us and makes us keep going. And so we want to see you guys thrive. And I just want to thank Dr. Martin Knox for her just putting together the goals of the superintendent and just want her to know that as a board that we support her and believe in those goals and we share in those goals. We thank you for just including our goals with us and just guiding us and moving us forward and being that superintendent that really connects with our staff and everybody, and especially our students. So I just want to thank you for that. All right. We have no signups for the public comment period. So we'll move on to the next agenda item. With the board committee reports. Mr. President, move the board meeting September 9th, 2024, Commission Construction Committee meeting minutes and September 17th, 2024, Committee. Is there any committee chairs that would like to report?
Well, there's no, we just met this evening, Finance Committee, so there's no report. Just review the attachments that are on ESB. Audit is ongoing. That was really the only new piece of information. So audit should be completed soon.
All right. Thanks.
I have the Raytown Educational Foundation.
Get to that. At the,
Oh, maybe.
yeah. Okay, no problem. So let's take a vote on this. All right, motion passes. Next, we'll have the Raytown Educational Foundation report.
This is the Raytown Educational Foundation Board of Trustees meeting highlights for September 25th, 2024. Donor development. The endowment fund, the Raytown Educational Foundation has received a generous donation from the Walter A. and Charlotte Soule Family Foundation, enabling the Raytown Educational Foundation to establish an endowment fund at Truman Heartland Community Foundation. The endowment fund will support current and future REF programs, including scholarships, grants, and student recognition. Graduating Senior Scholarship Fund. The Raytown High School class of 1970 has established a new scholarship fund for Raytown High School graduates. The first scholarship will be awarded to a member from the class of 2025. Board of Trustee Giving. A part of the foundation's annual audit report, related party giving, are donations from the members of the Board of Trustees. For fiscal year 2023 through 24, members of the Board of Trustees donated $43,865 in contributions to various categories, including scholarship funds, program funds, events, and pillars of the foundation scholarships and general contributions. Employee donors. The foundation currently has 155 employee donors who donate to the foundation through Raytown Quality Schools payroll deduction. Each month, the foundation places a thank you card and a small treat into the employees' mailboxes. September treat was a bag of nuts with a card stating, "We are nuts about the employee donors." Fundraising, trivia night. The trivia night fundraiser was moved from May to September, included a record of 14 teams. The winning team, Raytown Diehards, which were comprised of Cardinal and Blue Jay alumni. Rockin' in Raytown, a new fundraiser will be held on November 15th at the Central Middle School. The family dance night event for K through 5 students and their families will feature a DJ, dancing, a photo spot, temporary tattoos, appearances by Raytown Quality celebrities, and more. And upcoming, share the love. Save the date for Raytown Educational Foundation's annual community breakfast, which will be held February 6, 2025. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Dr. Douglas. Mr. President, I move that the board approve the annual secretary to the board report as presented. Second. Motion made and seconded. Mike and Miss Bobby. Motion passes. Next, we have the first read of policies, for information. These policies were sent straight to first read as a result in change in law. And now the approval of consent agenda. Motion, please.
President, I move that the board approve October 14th, 2024 consent agenda as presented.
Motion made and seconded. I'd like to read donations before we continue. We have a donation of 5 girl coats worth $225 from Victoria Troop to Raytown School District. We have a donation of $150 from Gap Lauren and Selmy to Bleak Ridge Elementary School's Field Day. We have a donation of $150 Visa gift card from Whataburger to Northwood School's art class supplies. We have a donation of appreciation jars for teachers and staff worth $50 from Comcast Xfinity to Southwood Elementary School. We have a donation of 4 $25 gift cards totaling $100 from Shields to Southwood Elementary School. We have a donation of $250 from Hope Network to Robinson Elementary School. We have a donation of $1,100 from Yale Abulhaka and Becky Bosley to Raytown High School's theater program. We have a donation of 1-year membership of unlimited admission for 4 people to Wonderscope worth $140 to Southwood Elementary School from Wonderscope. We have a donation of $500 from Stewart Title Foundation to Raytown School District Parents as Teachers Program. We have a donation of school supplies totaling $200 from Ivanhoe United Church of Christ to Robinson Elementary. We thank our community of donors. We know that these gifts will become in great use to our students and will benefit us greatly, and we greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Vote on the consent agenda. Motion passes.
President, I move that the board adjourn the regular Board of Education meeting at 7:43 p.m.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any other comments? Meeting adjourned.